50-50 divorces aren't fair. Stay-at-home moms should be given 100% of everything in divorce and should be awarded alimony for life.
Rula, are you married?
Yes.
Is he happy?
Oh, that's a weird question.
Why do you think most men are currently afraid of a marriage?
Women are financially incentivized.
Women are financially incentivized to get a divorce. So what is the point in getting married?
Why do so many women leave their husbands simply because they are unhappy or bored?
Happy wife, whoever said that should just be beaten to death. That is just the most what does that even mean?
Files 70% of all divorces in the U.S.
Women.
That is correct indeed, but that number will only be increasing. There's no point. Kindly subscribe to the channel, as it is our sole form of support. Thank you.
If 50% of marriages end in divorce, do you still think marriage is important? There's a saying that remarriage is proof that people are more optimistic than intelligent. It shows that we really are optimistic at heart, that we want to make connections, that we believe those connections, those heart connections are possible, that we were built for relationships. So the fact that 50% of marriages fail doesn't mean that marriage is unimportant. What it means is we need to focus a bit more on how important it is on the way in.
Women are incentivized to basically, there's such a major financial incentive for women to get divorced. As soon as there's even a hint of unhappiness, and look, as a man, you should never sign a contract with someone who is rewarded for breaking it. No sane, informed man would or should sign that contract. As a businessman, it is one of the worst contracts you could possibly sign in your entire life.
80% of divorces are filed by women. And why is that? So the comment that I got was, why do so many women leave their husbands simply because they are unhappy or bored? Why is it that men have the endurance of till death do us part, and yet many women have the endurance limited to their emotions like boredom and unhappiness? And I think this is a great question. And I see videos pop up all the time in this space about women leaving simply because they're unhappy. And why is that? And what's the solution to that? So what I had to see for myself as a woman, why we have such a limited endurance in marriage and we are so quick to leave and so quick to run, is because we have no concept when we get married that we are actually making a commitment to another person.
Say it louder for the women in the back row. Can't make a broken person feel happy if they haven't put their own pieces of the fragments together themselves. I divorced mine after 16 years. Never been better. Will never have another relationship again. I was used twice as convenience. My fault though, I allowed it to happen. First and foremost, women tend to trust their emotions above all else, even more than facts at times. Whenever a woman feels unhappy or bored in a marriage, she's more likely to leave because her emotions drive her decisions. In contrast, men are generally more inclined to stay committed and try to fix the issues within the relationship. The root of the problem is that women, in many cases, lack the same level of commitment when it comes to marriage. The challenge is that modern society often validates this emotional-driven behavior, encouraging women to do what makes them happy, even if it means walking away from a marriage without trying to work through the problems. On the other hand, men are frequently expected to stay loyal, even when they feel neglected or unappreciated. The bottom line is, women are more loyal to their feelings and emotions more than anything.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm a lot happier as a housewife obeying my husband than I ever was as a career-driven woman obeying her boss.
Is it just me, or you be talking to somebody or even dating somebody, right? And be so in love, like just love this mother. See absolutely no wrong in them, just love them. Then one day you're just like, I don't like you no more. We could be having a good day, and I just be like, I don't like you no more. I don't like the person you are. I don't like the way you move. I don't like the way you think. I just don't like you. So I want to leave. Just like that, like I want to go. I don't want to talk anymore. Is that just me?
This is a woman who's used to dealing with toxic men in her life. She mentioned that the guy was a good dude, and all of a sudden, she couldn't stand dealing with him anymore, even though he didn't do anything wrong. With women out here exactly like her, no wonder why men don't want marriage anymore. It's like these women are so programmed by negative experiences that they can't handle a healthy relationship when it comes along. When a good man enters the picture, someone who's genuinely kind, supportive, and consistent, they mistake the lack of drama for boredom or even dissatisfaction. In reality, the issue isn't with the man, it's with their own inability to break free from the cycle of toxic relationships they've become accustomed to. So, they push the good guy away and go back to the chaos they know. Good men see this happening time and time again, and it makes them question the value of marriage.
Being single in West Hollywood is like going to the grocery store and seeing this really hot guy and you're like, oh my God, this might be it. This actually might be it. And then this other really hot guy comes up behind him and is like, babe, have you gotten the eggs yet? Like, why I think any man within a 5-mile radius of this place would want anything to do with a little blonde girl, I have absolutely no idea.
Rula, are you married?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Is he happy?
Oh, that's a weird question. Usually they ask if I'm happy.
Yeah, but like, it's a different kind of an interview. I'm just, because he's not here, like, I want to show my care for him as well.
Mm.
Is he happy? Your answer is yes, no. You don't wanna answer that question?
No.
I think it's okay. I think we got the answer.
Who we?
That's me and the camera guy. You got it, bro?
Yeah.
Well, fuck you, Yash. And fuck you.
They don't care if you're happy, bruh. It's all about them. She's not invested in his happiness, only in her happiness. Their supposed intuition will tell them everything, except that their man is nowhere near happy. Someone once said, "A man will sacrifice his happiness for a woman would sacrifice a man for her happiness." That cuts deep. The fact that every man knows the answer speaks volumes. He asked this woman a very simple question: if her husband is happy in the marriage, and her response was, "That's a weird question." There's nothing weird about the question at all. This woman simply doesn't care about her husband. This also shows that she has never thought about her husband in that way. It's almost as if her husband's happiness wasn't even a consideration in her mind, which speaks to a deeper issue within the relationship. If she finds the question strange, it's because she's never paused to reflect on his well-being. It reveals a mindset where the husband's role is to support her, fulfill her needs, and keep the marriage going. But his happiness, that's not even on her radar. This kind of thinking is exactly why many men feel unseen, unheard, and undervalued in their marriages. They give so much of themselves, but rarely get the same level of consideration in return. Men are expected to bend over backward to keep their wives happy, but when it comes to their own satisfaction, they're left to fend for themselves.
Files 70% of all divorces in the U.S. Men or women?
Women.
Why do you say women?
Because we hate men.
Because the women are trying to take their money.
Maybe the men cheat more.
It's always over money.
No offense to men.
Men don't have like the guts to file for a divorce.
Why women?
They're never happy.
Women replace, while men repair. Men don't file more because they invested so much and have everything to lose, whereas women just take. Give a woman everything in the world as a man, and she'll still find something wrong. That's how it's been and will be, so don't waste your time. Kinda funny the women automatically go, men, but their reason is always nothing.
The dating culture today is a crash course in divorce. We've embedded in people's minds and souls how easy it is to walk away from something and someone. Like, I need people to take a moment to understand what the dating culture today has done. It has made it so easy for you to drop an entire soul that you once claimed to love, to cherish, and promise to stay with no matter what. Now, in some cases, if there was an extreme reason, or there is a clear reason that no, separate, absolutely, I understand. But this ability to just drop a soul like it means nothing, do people genuinely understand just how evil that is?
The problem is social media and the delusion many women have of having too many options when it comes to dating. Relationships aren't the same anymore. People move on way too quickly whenever there are issues. Another issue is hookup culture, which encourages short-term flings instead of meaningful relationships. This has made it even harder for people to form deep, lasting connections, as casual encounters are now seen as the norm. Instead of focusing on commitment, many are more interested in instant gratification, further weakening the foundation of modern relationships. It's chaos out there.
We've all heard of mansplaining, but allow me to introduce you to she-laborating. It is when you ask a woman a very, very simple question and she sits you down and gives you a 30-minute answer.
I think that you have to open your eyes to the reality of what marriage is. You have to recognize that in most places in the West, if you get married, you are essentially inviting the state into your household. The state is built in such a way that it actually encourages women to get divorced. Like, women are financially incentivized today to leave their families, to leave their husband, because they will make a lot more money from the government as a single mom raising the kids, having most of the control raising those kids, and alienating the father from those kids. Like, there's financial incentives to breaking up the household.
Thankfully, I made it to 39 without ever being married, so never been divorced, and I'm debt-free. Lonely sometimes, but worth it. Been saying this. Marriage is not for the man. It's set up for women. Marriage is a lie told to men since birth. Never do it. Women cannot be happy. It is not in their nature. Stay single and keep your peace. No wife, happy life. The bottom line is, women get paid for destroying their marriage, their family. They're incentivized for it. And in that process, the children suffer the most. The current system often rewards women for walking away, whether it's through alimony, child support, or favorable divorce settlements. They can initiate the breakup, claim they're unhappy, and still walk away with a financial safety net. This creates a cycle where there's no real accountability, and the true damage is done to the children. They grow up in broken homes, caught in the middle of parental conflict, and often used as pawns in bitter custody battles. Their emotional well-being gets overlooked, while the focus stays on dividing assets and assigning blame. For men, this entire scenario feels like a rigged game. They're expected to provide financially even after the marriage ends, often without any consideration for how the woman's actions contributed to the destruction of the family. It's no wonder men are growing more cautious about marriage. They see the writing on the wall.
70% of divorces are filed by women, just over 70. And one of the number one reasons they give is financial hardship.
Because that's hard. It's
creates
really
a
hard. Ton of stress.
Because women want security, and that's one of the number one needs of women, especially stay-at-home moms. Stability and security.
Safety.
Yeah. Safety.
And don't get me wrong, that is my number one too. But
yeah, but it also takes a different, confident person who has vision and love for the other person to empower them and say, hey, if we fall on hard times, I got your back.
I agree. That's a huge issue in marriages. Many women seem to be fully committed during the good times, enjoying the benefits of the relationship when everything is going well. But as soon as financial issues arise, their attitude starts to change. Instead of standing by their husbands and working together through the tough times, some women begin to pull back emotionally and even physically. Their support fades, and they may become more distant or critical. This is where the real test of commitment comes in. Unfortunately, when money problems hit, instead of showing resilience and loyalty, some women choose to file for divorce. It's as if their commitment was conditional on the financial stability of the marriage. Men, on the other hand, are often expected to weather the storm and continue to provide no matter what. Where's the benefit?
The ratio of attractive women to attractive men is off.
Take all the makeup off your face.
Why do women friend zone guys who would make them wives for guys who made them single moms?
I feel like sometimes it's really like the guys that'll make you a wife. Women, they don't want to like change who they are. So they say they want to be a wife, but they're not ready to really play the wife role or whatever. So I feel like that's really what it was.
I feel like some women know what they want with the wrong men, if that makes sense. Because a lot of y'all want babies, cars, houses, with the guy that just doesn't want that. Like if he says no, it's no.
Reason why young men especially are hesitant to get married is because for a lot of men, they don't see any benefit from it. You're just putting yourself at a disadvantage. If someday she could say, you know what, I'm not really feeling this anymore. I'm going to divorce you, but you're still going to be responsible for paying for me for the rest of your life.
Like I said, I'm pro prenup, and alimony is not gendered. It's literally a formula in most states. And so in a situation, I do think like, yeah, if a man wants to get married, you should think about this. You should think about this possibility. But I don't think that it's fair that a woman who has given up so much in order to be a homemaker shouldn't have any, shouldn't have anything. She should just be left on the street.
I've had my life thrown into disarray 3 times due to either marriage or a long-term relationship. Stay single, people. Also, in most cases, prenups get tossed out in divorce courts, aka hardly ever enforced. If you no longer feel it or aren't in love anymore, isn't a valid reason for divorce. Infidelity and abuse are the only reasons for divorce. Just avoid the headache. If you all love each other that much, you don't need the courts to tell you you're married. That is completely true. Marriage today is a complete disadvantage for men. Even men who aren't married are watching how other men are being treated, and it's making them rethink whether marriage is worth the risk. The reality is that men see what happens after the vows are exchanged, the sacrifices they make, the responsibilities they shoulder, and how quickly it can all be taken away in a divorce. Modern women today are looking for happiness in their marriage instead of commitment and partnership. And when they aren't happy, they leave. Marriage has become more about personal fulfillment than building a stable life together. The moment a woman feels unhappy or unfulfilled, she's encouraged to leave, as if marriage is something disposable. There's a constant narrative pushed by society that if a woman isn't happy, she should walk away and pursue her own happiness without considering the long-term consequences for her family, husband, or children.
I don't think marriage has to be that hard. I think that we make it hard. Husbands don't need a whole lot. Love making, some respect and appreciation. Wives need some emotional intimacy and some romance. We get married so that we can enjoy that person we fell madly in love with for our whole life and eternity. So, what if it's just as simple as don't be selfish, flirt with each other, date each other, have fun together, put your spouse before technology, do little simple things that you did to show your spouse that you love them like you did when you were dating. And when conflict arises, listen to each other, be kind and respectful. These are all things that you did when you dated, right? So what do you think makes marriage so complicated? Let's hear it.
It's complicated because men often do everything they're supposed to, being there for their wives emotionally, putting them first, and showing commitment. But for some reason, it never seems to be enough. One of the biggest frustrations in marriage is the shift that happens after the man commits. In the beginning, many women lure men in by being fun, carefree, and non-controlling, often using sex and their charm to build the attraction. But once that man settles down and commits, all of those things seem to disappear. The carefree, exciting dynamic fades, and suddenly the relationship becomes about control, expectations, and emotional demands. The man feels like he's being baited and switched. What he signed up for in the beginning no longer exists. This creates a sense of betrayal, as he's still holding up his end of the deal, but now feels he's constantly trying to please someone who no longer brings the same energy, affection, or fun to the relationship.
Society has put men down so much that if they try to retaliate or even breathe, we'll be like they're controllers, they're abusive, or they're narcissistic. It's like a man cannot have a say without him being a controller or an abuser or a narcissist, right? Nowadays, most men kill themselves. Why? Because at the end of the day, men cannot talk. If a man talks, then he is not a man. And if he doesn't talk, then he's an abuser. And if he tries to say anything, then he controls women. It's messed up.
Women have a problem with submission because they view it as it's something that's negative. No. You should be able to submit to your man because you should be able to trust enough in his leadership. And a lot of the times when you men say like, oh, I don't want you going to a bar, I don't want you going to a club, it's because you're a fucking man. You know what happens there. You know that men there just want to, or there's weirdos that want to put shit in your drinks, or there's drama, or it's just a whole ass environment that you can't be there to protect your female if it came down to it. You would have to live with that guilt. You know what I mean? She gets assaulted and you can't do nothing about the man that did that to her. You would live with that. And women don't understand that. They think it's control. No, your man's being a protector, as he should. And as a woman, you should respect it. You should honor the fact that your man can see the dangers that you can't. Simple as that.
The thing about that is women will submit to their bosses at work, but won't submit to their man in the home. It's a strange double standard that's becoming more and more common. At work, they'll follow the direction of their superiors without question, show respect, and abide by the structure of the job. Yet when it comes to their relationship, the idea of respecting or submitting to their man is seen as offensive or outdated. They think it's control. At work, they understand the need for structure and follow the rules to succeed. But in relationships, many women see submission as giving up their independence or being controlled by their man.
This is for all my single people, so if you are not single, just keep scrolling. Can someone tell me why in like modern dating or dating right now, we're talking on apps, talking on Instagram, you're sliding in, whatever, but no plans are being made? I don't know about you guys, but I'm not looking for a pen pal. I'm looking for a husband. So what's going on?
What's going on is that people forget the phone works both ways. It shouldn't always be on the man to make the plans, initiate conversations, or show interest. If a woman is truly interested, she should also be putting in the effort, calling, texting, and making plans. Relationships are supposed to be a two-way street, not one person doing all the heavy lifting while the other just sits back and waits. When a woman doesn't show interest or take the initiative, it sends the message that she's not as invested in the relationship. At that point, it's just best to walk away. These are the types of women that wants to chase like they're playing tag. No man has time for that.
When you look at divorce rates between male and female, somewhere between 70-80% of all divorces are initiated by who? Women. Right? 50% of all divorces now end up in divorce, but 70+% are initiated by women. Why? Because there's always something better outside. Right? And now, and again, now we're going to get to real controversial topic, right? Well, where does that come from? It comes from options. Right now, a woman in Ohio that was typically dating in her backyard of
town.
500 people, not going to just go on Instagram and find a millionaire in Dubai.
It's the rude awakening that men have needed for
thousands of years.
I have 4 big things to say about this, but first of all, I'm not quite sure where this belief came from that if more women divorce their husbands, that these men are just going to believe that it was all their fault and they're going to grow and get better. No, there's never just fault on one side, and men know that. Second of all, most men that go through divorce end up losing a lot in the form of lost time with their children and financially through spousal support and child support. So many men just feel victimized by the court system. Thirdly, a lot of these men that get put through the ringer, they eventually build themselves back and they realize that they're a lot happier being single. It's actually a lot more peaceful for them. And fourthly and lastly, a lot of men never want to get married again or in the first place because they hear women like this talking about divorce as if it's some sort of punishment for her not being happy, as if his needs and the family's needs have nothing to do with it. And men are smarter than that.
Yeah, I don't know where women get this idea either, but it all just sounds like men should just focus on themselves and improve if this is what they have to deal with. Many men have been able to find peace within themselves rather than in a marriage. I mean, ask a divorced man if he would get married again, and you'll often hear a range of responses, but many will say they'd think twice or outright refuse. After going through a divorce, a lot of men realize that investing in themselves, whether through career growth, personal hobbies, or physical fitness, can lead to greater fulfillment than what they experienced in marriage. They find solace in their independence, reclaiming their time and energy that was previously spent trying to make a relationship work. Instead of being tied down by the expectations and frustrations of marriage, they embrace a lifestyle that allows them to pursue their own happiness without compromise.
Leading into divorce, are the courts biased against men going through the divorce process? Of course, every situation is different, and there are so many factors unique to every case, ranging from where the case is located, who the people are involved. And when you say courts, I mean, the courts are the judges and the laws. And speaking to the judges, of course, judges are human beings and they all have their own personal, subjective opinions, experiences, beliefs, etc. But as a general rule of thumb, the courts are designed to give both sides an equal experience and process through the courts. Utah recently amended the code to even contemplate 50-50 custody arrangement and other options that mean both parents are meaningfully sharing the kids. And as far as the division of the marital assets and alimony, it's a court of equity, and all of the laws that govern that, and the courts attempt to apply them in a way that puts both parties on equal footing as they move forward and beyond divorce. So, no, the courts at the end of the day and the laws behind them are an attempt to give both sides an equal experience. And
I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you have a good man in your life, hold on to him. And what I mean by a good man is not a man who's perfect. A man who is hardworking and willing to do anything to make you happy.
Married, we divorce, you have to pay me child support. Just for you paying into the system, and then the state turns around and reroutes the money to the mother. The feds, the federal government, pays the states 66 cents for every dollar they take from you and distribute back out. Well, what happens when you have shared custody? Sometimes you have no child support. There's no financial incentive for the state to, there's no money to be made there, right? Wow. So there's a financial incentive for the states also.
So he came home and he was like, babe, I lost my job. I'm like, all right, cool. So a month later, like the bills, it was time for the bills or whatever, and I'm like, the bills due, babe, or whatever. And he was like, okay, I'm not working. And I'm just, in a month, like, it's all kind of hustles. You could have been doing something or whatever. So I told him, I said, look, if I pay these bills, are you going to pay me the money back? This man had the nerve to tell me, why should I pay my wife back for paying our bills? I told this man from day one, my money is my money and his money is our money. Why should I spend my money paying the bills? Like, no, he should have paid me back. So that's when I decided, like, I can't be with this man no more. So I had sex with his homeboy. Like, we all cool. I texted his homeboy or whatever. We went together. I met up with him. And we was chilling, we was drinking or whatever. And I started venting. I started getting emotional. One thing led to the next. I did not purposely mean to do what I did with his friend. But things happen. Things happen. Like, y'all don't understand what I'm going through. So, you know, his friend ended up giving me some money or whatever. And he was like, you know, babe, look, don't worry about it. Handle whatever you got to handle. Like, his friend was every single thing I desire in a man. Like, everything I desire in a man. And, you know, ain't nobody trying to hear my side. Ain't nobody trying to hear.
This woman never had any real commitment to the man from the start. Her true colors showed the moment he hit some financial trouble and couldn't pay the bills. And guess what? She chose herself. She chose her happiness and comfort over the marriage, abandoning the partnership as soon as things got tough. Sadly, this isn't even surprising anymore because it's become a common pattern among selfish women who only see themselves and their needs. When things are going smoothly, they're happy to be there, reaping the benefits. But when life throws a challenge, instead of sticking by their partner and working together to overcome it, they opt out. Their loyalty was only surface level, and they were never truly invested in the long haul. It's as if the moment their comfort is threatened, they hit the exit button, proving that they were never really in it for the partnership. What's worse is that this selfish behavior is often normalized or excused amongst these types of women. They justify leaving by claiming they deserve to be happy. It's disgusting.
The kids are the most likely to be abused by the mother, not the father, by the mother. I have a documentary coming out called Why Don't Men Want to Get Married Anymore, where it really dives into the problems as to why the institution of marriage is failing. Mm-hmm.
Now, what do we do about it?
I think the first thing you need to do is switch the laws to make them more favorable and fair. So, for example, the tender years doctrine, do you know what that is?
The tender years? No.
That assumes that the mother is the best one for the child under the age of 7. In some states, it extends to 16.
Yeah.
That's an openly sexist law. Yeah. But what evidence do we have that the mother is the best one with the children?
Well,
the kids are the most likely to be abused by the mother, not the father, by the mother. The way the laws are set up, it punishes men for being traditional. So in the last 50 years, women have worked more.
Hold on, you're saying that children are more likely to be abused in a traditional family with mother and father, or you're saying single father and single mother?
Women are the most likely the ones to abuse the child. And even if you include, you think murder, right?
Yeah.
So 1 out of 3 women's had an abortion. I've seen some numbers that say 1 out of 4, but the point is still the same. If 1 out of 4 men committed murder, my whole point is that I think that men should be entitled to their children. I don't think it's fair the way the system is. You know, regardless of where you fall, it's not fair that women get custody 90% of the time. It's not fair that men are always paying alimony, they're always paying child support, and that they're punished for being traditional. Because the more time they spend providing for their family, the way they calculate it in child support is they kind of do I gotcha. You know, you did the right thing. You provided for your family. Why are you punished in child custody cases?
That's correct. This imbalance in the system leads many men to question the very concept of marriage. They see that their emotional investment and dedication can be rendered meaningless by a partner's sudden change of heart. The reality is that many men are left feeling like they're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to meet their partner's needs, while knowing that if she isn't happy, it can all fall apart in an instant. This just shows that even when a man is being a good man and taking care of his family, if the woman doesn't feel happy anymore and wants a divorce, he can get punished for it. It's all downsides. No matter how committed he is or how hard he works to provide for his family, if his partner decides she's unhappy, he often bears the brunt of the consequences. He can lose half of his assets, be required to pay alimony, and sometimes even face a challenging custody battle. Save yourself the headache.
Is it okay for women to always say that they sacrifice their career for their family, even though men do the exact same thing? Let me explain. So many men will work 12 to 14 hours a day. They'll miss holidays. They'll miss birthdays. They'll come home, only eat dinner, go straight to bed, and do it all over again. Men sacrifice a lot of job opportunities to keep the wife happy and keep the financial situation afloat. And the crazy part about it is the amount of women that don't appreciate a man's sacrifice or don't give a shit about what the men sacrifice, including the milestones of their own children. It's like men aren't allowed to have feelings about their own children. So many men sacrifice their mental health. They'll come home and not say a goddamn word because they know that they're going to get bitched at or they're not going to be taken care of in the way that they deserve. Men sacrifice also the best years of their lives to provide for their families, and while doing so, they get ridiculed for not doing it good enough or doing it for too long. When you say to a woman, okay, well, let him stay at home with the kids, or let him work a part-time job, or let him get the job that pays less, 9 times out of 10, the women are like, absolutely not. And I'll just never understand how you think that you can have a successful relationship or a successful marriage and not understand the sacrifices of your husband that he's doing for you to provide for you. Well, you get to stay home with the children, which is the greatest gift that you can possibly ever have, is to watch your children grow up and be an active role in their upbringing. But some of you have been so brainwashed into thinking your stupid 9 to 5 is better than raising children that you've actually ruined the entire family dynamic for basically a paycheck. Okay, bye.
I sacrificed my body, my mental health, and my family for my family. I tore us apart trying to hold us together. And we catch hell because we don't spend enough time with the family. College tuition doesn't pay for itself. Brought that up to my ex a few times. You can work in the oil field, I'll stay home. Turned into another different fight somehow. Our sacrifice is a must, while her sacrifice needs appreciation. What a great time to live. That right there is a sacrifice that doesn't get talked about enough. The lengths men go to for their families, often sacrificing themselves in the process. When a man works longer hours or takes on extra responsibility to provide, it's not because he wants to miss time with his kids or wife. It's because he feels a duty to ensure his family's financial stability. Yet, this sacrifice often goes unappreciated or misunderstood. A man can't be everywhere at once. If he's out there grinding to support his family, of course, there will be times he can't be as present at home. It's not a lack of love or commitment. It's a reality that comes with the weight of responsibility. Unfortunately, this sacrifice often gets overlooked, and men are criticized for not spending enough time with their families, when in fact, they're making the very sacrifices necessary to keep that family together and secure. What's frustrating is that the emotional and physical toll men endure for the sake of their family isn't acknowledged enough. They're expected to be providers, but at the same time, they're judged when they miss out on family moments. The truth is, there's only so much a man can do.